Welcome to the complete story of Final Fantasy III, the last of the Nintendo Famicom Final Fantasy games, and the first Final Fantasy game to feature a job system, allowing players to switch between classes mid-game, making for one epic adventure and lots of different gameplay options to explore. The game has received both a 3D remake and a pixel remaster, but this video will explore the story of the good old pixels, making it more faithful to the original. Not that there's anything wrong with the 3D remake, and who knows, maybe we'll make a video about that version as well someday. But anyway, I'm Peter from Birds of Play, and in this video I hope you'll join me as we revisit the complete story of Final Fantasy III. It will be a long way to the world of darkness and back home, but I hope you'll stay with us every step of the way. Into the silence, one of the Golgons prophesied. The great earthquake was only the beginning. The tremors tore the land asunder. The crystal sources of the world's light were swallowed into the depths as monsters emerged from the chasms now scarring the earth. Yet that was nothing compared to the catastrophe to come. Something fathomless, ominous, and laden with sorrow looms on the horizon. But hope is not yet gone completely. 4 souls will be blessed with the power of light, and so it shall begin. Centuries later, 4 orphaned youths, raised by Topapa, the village elder, in the rural village of were out to test their mettle. They came across a cave, one of the very same that formed when the crystals were lost to the earth. And what started as a simple game of exploration became so much more. While playing, the youths fell through a hole in the ground and deeper into the cave, where they came across a strange room which houses the wind crystal at its center. The crystal shines brightly and tells them that they have been chosen, before bestowing upon them the last of its light. Within the light, the will of the crystal surges through them. They decide to accept their destiny. And so begins a journey to dispel the darkness and return light to the world. The young heroes receive the crystal's power, and with it, the world's last light of hope, making them the warriors of light. Heeding the call to adventure, the 4 youths bid farewell to the village of and travel to Kazas, only to discover that the residents of the village have been turned into ghosts as the result of a curse laid upon them by an evil djinn. In hopes of breaking the curse, they then travel to Castle Sasune to see the king and retrieve the mithril ring needed to break the curse. The ghostly king begs them to rescue his daughter, Princess Sarah Altney, who disappeared when the curse took hold, taking the ring with her. The 4 heroes enter the lair of the djinn, where they encounter Princess Sarah, who joins them on their quest to save the kingdom. And using the powers bestowed upon them by the crystal, the warriors of light defeat the djinn, enabling Princess Sarah to seal him with the ring. Back at Castle Sasune, Princess Sarah uses the mithril ring to break the curse. The warriors then return to Kazas and talk to a man named Sid, who has an airship they can ride on. However, as there is a large boulder blocking the mountain pass to the rest of the continent, they are forced to ram it with the airship, clearing a path, but rendering the airship inoperational in the process. Together with Sid, they then walk the rest of the way to the town of Canaan, where Sid lives. In Canaan, they meet a girl named Salima, who mourns the disappearance of her love, Desh, who has wandered off to Dragon's Peak, a nearby mountain where dragons roost. As the party braves the slopes of the mountain in search of Desh, they are abducted by Bahamut, a mighty dragon who carries them to his nest, as he plans to feed them to his offspring. There they meet Desh, who has lost his memory and can only remember his name. Together they escape the dragon, and Desh gives the party the mini-spell, allowing them to shrink in size. Using Desh's mini-spell, the group enters Tozus, the village of the gnomes, and passes through Tozus Tunnel to reach Viking's Cove, so they can acquire a ship. Once there, they find the Vikings in an uproar as their guardian, the Nepto dragon, has gone on a rampage and is mercilessly sinking any ship that dares to set sail. The party agrees to help, and as they journey to the Nepto temple, they discover that the statue of the Nepto dragon is missing an eye. They shrink down once more to traverse the tunnel inside the temple walls and find the eye in a rat's hoard, allowing them to reclaim it. They return the eye to the statue, which calms the wrath of the dragon, and as a way of thanks, the statue also bequeaths to them the Fang of Water. Returning to the Vikings, the grateful seafarers then give them the ship Enterprise, allowing them to sail the world. The Warriors of Light take the Enterprise to the village of the Ancients, where they learn that in the past, the Ancients had sought to use the crystals to harness the power of light. However, they struggled to contain its burgeoning energy and ended up unleashing a catastrophic flood of light upon the world. It wasn't until 4 warriors from the world of darkness came and subdued the flood that balance was restored to the world. And as darkness now threatens the world, the duty of restoring balance now falls to the Warriors of Light. They also learn that the continent they are on is actually floating above the surface world, and that the Tower of Owen provides the power to keep it afloat. As they continue exploring the world, the Warriors of Light visit Golgan Gulch, home to the Golgans, sightless sages who foretell the future. The Golgans tell them to go to the Tower of Owen, and as they battle their way through the tower, they are taunted by a mysterious voice. At the top they find Medusa, a servant of the mysterious Sunday, who threatens to destroy the tower and bring down the continent. After defeating her, Dash's memory returns, and he recalls that he and his father, both ancients, built the tower, and that he is its guardian. Sacrificing himself, Dash leaps into the furnace to repair the damage caused by Medusa and save the floating continent, though the party urges him not to. As the furnace in the Tower of Owen is stabilized, the whirlpool blocking the channel to the north clears, so the party heads for Dwarven Hollows in search of the fire crystal. When they arrive, the dwarves are already up in arms, due to one of their precious ice horns having been stolen by Gutsko the Rogue. The party agrees to recover it and enters the subterranean lake beneath Dwarven Hollows by transforming themselves into toads. There they encounter Gutsko and retrieve the horn from him. However, they are followed back by a mysterious shadow, and when they reach the main altar in Dwarven Hollows, Gutsko reveals himself and grabs both horns. The 4 pursue Gutsko once more, this time into the Molten Cave to the north, where they find Gutsko standing before the Crystal of Fire. Gutsko attempts to absorb the power of the crystal and is transformed into a dragon, only to be defeated once again by the Warriors of Light. The party then receives the light of the fire crystal and several additional jobs to empower them on their journey. As they return the horns of ice to the dwarves, a wounded villager from the village of Tokul begs them to save his town from the dreaded wizard Hein before dying of his wounds. The 4 warriors sail to Tokul post-haste, but as they enter the village, they are seized by Hein's men and brought to Castle Hein. There they learn that the evil Hein, advisor to King Argus, has captured the king, enslaved the people, and uprooted the Elder Tree from the living woods, making it his castle. The Warriors of Light defeat Hein and restore the Elder Tree, obtaining the Fang of Wind. And upon reaching Castle Argus, the king thanks them by giving them the Wheel of Time, a device constructed by the Ancients. They then return to Sid, who uses the wheel to remodel the Enterprise into an airship, allowing them to fly off the edge of the floating continent to explore the world below. When they arrive, the surface world is almost completely flooded, with only 2 visible islands peeking out from under the vast ocean. They fly the Enterprise to a wrecked ship and find an old man tending to a water priestess named Arya Bennett. The party offers Arya a potion, and as she recovers, she recognizes them as the Warriors of Light, deciding to join them on their quest to restore the water crystal. Using a crystal shard from the Temple of Water, she opens the way to the Cave of Tides, which houses the water crystal. They make their way to the crystal, and Arya returns the shard, instructing the warriors to return the light to the crystal. As they approach, however, Arya suddenly pushes them out of the way of an arrow. She falls, and Kraken attacks the party. The four defeat the monster, but Arya is mortally wounded. Arya imbues the party with the power of the water crystal and dies. As the surface world re-emerges from the depths of the ocean, the warriors fall unconscious. The party awakes in the town of Amuth and find that Goldor, the owner of a manor south of the town, has chained up their ship. Before they can confront Goldor, however, they must acquire levygrass shoes, so that they can traverse the swamp which separates the town from the manor. While in town, they meet fellows who believe themselves to be the true warriors of light. But as the party rescues them from monsters in the sewers, the fellows recognize them as the true warriors of legend, repaying them by helping them get levygrass shoes from the bad-tempered Delilah. Using the shoes, the party then visits Gold Manor to get the key to the chain and meet the Earth Crystal. But Goldor spitefully shatters the crystal after his defeat. Dismayed, the party unlocks their ship and sets out, visiting several towns around the world. As they fly over the kingdom of Saronia, which is amid a civil war caused by King Gorn, their ship is shot down. They find the king's son, Prince Alice, in a pub, having been banished from the castle, and win his favor. Together with the prince, they then visit the castle and are granted entrance. But that night, King Gorn enters the bedroom to kill his own son. Before he can go through with it, however, Gorn plunges the knife deep into his own stomach and frees himself from the spell placed upon him by his advisor, Gigametz. Gigametz then turns into a monstrous Garuda, only to be defeated by the party. As the dust settles, Alice is crowned as King of Saronia. As thanks for saving the kingdom, the scholars of Saronia inform the party that the ancient airship Nautilus has been unearthed and that they are free to use it. Riding in the airship, the party flies over the Dalg continent to Doga's manor, where they meet the sage Doga and his Mughal bodyguards. Doga explains that he, Unai, and Sande were once students of the great magus Noah, and that Noah had granted each of them a gift. Doga was given vast magic power, Unai control over the world of dreams, and Sande was granted human mortality. Sande was enraged by this gift, which he considered a great insult, and as a result he has continued to seek the world's destruction ever since. The party confesses the fate of the Earth Crystal, but Doga explains that the crystal Goldor had was a fake, and that the real Earth Crystal is unharmed. He joins their party and uses Mini on them to enter the cave of the Circle. When they reach the end of the cave, Doga uses a spell to transform the Nautilus into a submarine and tells the Warriors of Light to go to the Temple of Time to recover Noah's lute, which will awaken Unai from her eternal slumber. He then leaves the warriors to find Eureka's key himself. As per Doga's wishes, the Warriors of Light retrieve the lute and enter Unai's shrine to awaken her. Once awake, Unai tells them that they must acquire an airship capable of crossing mountain ranges in order to get to Sande, and tasks them with going to the ancient ruins to the north. Before they leave the shrine, she also hands them the Fang of Fire for them to use later. Unai joins the party and helps them excavate the Invincible, which can fly over mountains, and after briefing them on its capabilities, she bids them farewell and directs them to the Cave of Shadows for the fourth and final Fang, the Fang of Earth. In the Cave of Shadows, north of Amor, the party defeats Hekaton Kir and obtains the Fang of Earth. Now, with all four Fangs in their possession, they can finally pass the statue Sande put up to protect his headquarters and reach the Ancient's Maze. There, they battle Titan and meet the Crystal of Earth, which gives them their final set of jobs. Before they can take the fight to Sande, however, Doga and Unai call the warriors back to Doga's manor and teleport them into Doga's grotto upon their arrival. The two sages then explain that their souls are needed to activate the key to Eureka. Therefore, the party must kill them in order to activate the key. When the party tries to refuse, Doga and Unai transform into monsters and attack them. After their defeat, the bodies of Doga and Unai pass away, leaving only their spirits and the Eureka key and the circus key, allowing the party passage to the forbidden land of Eureka and the Crystal Tower. Not allowing their sacrifice to be in vain, the party makes its way through the ancient maze and enter the Crystal Tower using the circus key. They then unlock the doorway to the forbidden land of Eureka and obtain the powerful weapon sealed therein in preparation for their battle with Sunday. Atop the tower they find a room containing a large mirror, but when they look into it, they are paralyzed by the curse of the 5 worms. As all hope seems lost, Doga's spirit brings the allies who fought alongside the Warriors of Light to the tower to break the curse. Their allies being Princess Sarah, Sid, Dash, who miraculously survived the furnace, King Alice, and one of the 4 fellows. They wish the warriors the best of luck, and the warriors proceed to the top of the Crystal Tower. There the party confronts Sunday, who declares that they are too late to stop the encroaching darkness, and even upon his defeat, Sunday celebrates victory, telling them that the cloud of darkness has already gathered. Suddenly, an eerie green rift opens up, and the cloud of darkness attacks the Warrior of Light, swiftly killing them. As their allies gather around them in disbelief over their sudden passing, Doga and Une sacrifice their souls to revive them, allowing them to enter the world of darkness to fight the cloud of darkness once more. The party enters the world of darkness and defeats the evil guardians of the Dark Crystals, which frees the ancient warriors of darkness. When they face the cloud of darkness again, the 4 warriors of the dark sacrifice themselves to weaken the entity, giving the warriors of light a fighting chance. The cloud of darkness is ultimately defeated, and the heroes and their allies return to their homes. The fellows return to Amur, Alice returns to his kingdom, and Sid and Dash return home to their lovers. However, Sarah does not want to leave the warrior, and stays with him, the warriors of light returning to Ur together, along with the princess. Having saved the world and returned back home, they are welcomed with open arms. And as they are reunited with everyone, they are bathed in the light of the crystal, now back to its former brilliance. A new dawn has arisen. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our retelling of the complete story of Final Fantasy III. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more retellings and a lot of other great stuff. But until next time, caca!